Welcome to our Kami training. So there is a Google Chrome add-on called Kami that allow you to annotate over top of PDFs that your teachers might give to you to draw on maps or to add information to some kind of a PDF, and then it'll allow you to directly submit it for them to grade in their gradebook. So I wanted to take you through what that might look like on a computer as well as an iPad, and then hopefully from there you'll be able to move around it pretty good. This is my second time looking at this, so I might fumble along the way as well. So I'm in my Spanish 1 class here. I'm at the home. Let me move over to my modules here. See what I got going on here. So looks like I've got this 20 points Sarah versus a star notes template that my teacher assigned to me. So I'm just going to click on that. So it looks basically pretty normal. I see the submitting external tool. Maybe I've never seen that before. I'm not sure what's going on with that. So okay, looks like it's just this assignment. Maybe I'll do to my notes or whatever. But as I scroll down and kind of get outside of that, all of a sudden I see this other option show up down here. Now, the first time through it, it might say, I believe it will say, if you've never used Kami before, it'll say, do you want to connect up Kami to Google? So you'll definitely click on the little Kami symbol, and then that'll take you to you saying, okay, I would like to give rights to Kami to definitely be able to work with my Google Drive. And then I believe after that, you're going to say to your Google Drive that you give rights to Kami to be able to see with it. So you kind of have to go backwards and forwards before you have full rights to be able to move this back and forth, because this will be working with PDFs that come out of a Google Drive, and then it also will be saving your annotated PDFs to your Google Drive. So we need to give access to it completely. Now, unfortunately, inside of Canvas, this is, as far as I can tell, the biggest you're going to be able to make the screen. So you're going to have to just kind of scroll around down here to see the different parts of the screen, and you can see me doodling on this thing already from earlier. And definitely you can see the whole entire thing. You can kind of scroll down here, up and down, but unfortunately, again, I just can't seem to make this any bigger, at least at this point in time. Let's say we wanted to zoom in on a certain place, like over here. You can definitely use a zoom in and make this thing bigger if you wanted to try to do something very specific and up close. So we have that option there. Beyond that, all the other things up here we'll leave for the end, and there's really only one thing I need to show you to work with. And so basically I am going to go ahead and start annotating this sucker up. So we have markup tool, which basically different ways to mark on it, like a highlighter and stuff. You can comment. We got the text box. You can draw with just like a pencil. We can do all kinds of erasing or shapes, and then we have an eraser to undo things as well. So let's start from the top here, and let's go ahead and try to mark this guy up. So with that, I've got a text highlighter. I've got a box highlighter, slightly different how they're used, but we'll take a look. Strike through, so a little line through the word, or an underline. So let's start with the text highlighter. And let's say I just wanted to highlight Estoy over here. And oh, looks like I need to do something. So here's a neat little thing. I've already submitted this to my teacher. Let's say that she came back and says, oh, you forgot the second page, but I've already turned it in. To be able to go ahead and edit on it again, you're gonna have to hit unsubmit. So it takes it out of her grade book and it puts it back under your control for you to be able to format. Now, if you never turn it in, you won't have to worry about that. All right, so text highlighter. So just highlight the word you want to highlight, and it's highlighted. We got different colors down here. So I think these are your main colors you've used recently. So I can switch over to green and highlight. Maybe she said highlight all of the verbs. All right, so verbs. Or maybe she said highlight all of the verbs in the I command blue, all of the he, she verbs in blue, and then all of the you verbs in, what would that be, aquamarine. So that'd be kind of an interesting little way that she could do something, or he. So you got your highlighter. The box highlighter, I think, is a little bit bigger. So let's say we wanted to highlight a bunch of stuff. You can highlight entire groups. So it's kind of like making a box around it instead of just doing one little tiny thing. So I can kind of box it up. So it's kind of like another highlighter. Strike through, if I wanted to cross out all of the she, I's, and them, again, just the same way, but you're just going to be using a strike through, and again, you can pick colors. Maybe you want to do everything in black for strike through. So strike through him, strike through you. So that's a strike through. And then underline is basically kind of like the strike through. You can highlight it and strike through. I also believe you can double click, I think. Yep, double click on a word. And instead of highlighting, so double click on how, and boom. Double click on feel, boom. Strike through should work also the same way. Double click on ocupadas, and there's your strike through. So you can highlight it, or you can double click on a word. You can't double click on multiple words. If I want to strike through this entire sentence, I'm going to need to highlight the entire sentence to strike through it. So those are your markups. The comments, still not a big fan of yet, but I'm not quite sure exactly. Maybe I'm using them right and such. But comment box is exactly what you would think it is. You can just write in it some comments and stuff like that. So basically you first kind of put where you want to put the comment box. And so let's say I want to comment on a star over here. So I click that, and then put your comment box off to the side here. Gives you some space. I want to comment about a star. And I want to say that that is possibly only short term instead of long term for I am or whatever. So there you go. A star is short term, hit enter, and you're done. You can go ahead and select it, and you can kind of move it around, put it different places. I wish you could click on it and it like would highlight this thing over here. I'm not sure exactly how it's totally working. Maybe it's kind of highlighting it, I guess, a little bit. So you can tinker around with that, but again, I believe if you click on it, it makes it solid. And if it's unclicked, you'll see it kind of here as a shadow. So comments. Text box. You probably use text box quite often. So under text box, you can pick your text size. So we're anywhere from 8 point up to 60 points. So it can go quite large. You can pick your colors. So let's say green. And maybe your teacher wants to write down the word for, dead or something like that. So muerta, muerto, muerta. My Spanish not so great. So there we go, nice and big. Or I think we can shrink it down by just keeping it. Yeah, we can shrink it down by as long as it's still highlighted. There we go. You can change the color as long as it's still highlighted. So as long as it's still there, you can do whatever you want with it. But now that it's gone, I should not be able to really change. Yeah, I'd have to click back on it again, highlight it, before I can start changing colors again. All right. So text box, you can change the size of it. You can pick up your own colors besides a small little palette. You can drag it around to new locations. You can make the text box a little smaller. There's a variety of things you can definitely do with it. All right. So text box, definitely you'll be using that quite often. Drawing. If you're using an iPad, and I'll do that in a minute, you could draw pretty easily on an iPad, especially if you have a pen. You can pick out how thick you want your lines. And again, this is just drawing. So just basically writing things now with a mouse, not so easy, pretty difficult. But again, you can change how thick the actual pen is. You can change the transparency levels. So I can make it kind of more blending in. So it's not so solid, it's still black, but you can kind of see through it. You can see the muerto through it because it's kind of transparent. You can pick different colors. But again, it's kind of transparent, so that red is really more like a pink. So we got how thick do you want? You're probably going to be going around a 2, I would guess. Colors, and then you can also change transparency if you want. If you're working with geometry or you want to do some kind of shapes and stuff, you can definitely use a rectangle tool. Again, you can pick the how thick you want the tool. You can pick the color. And then you just basically drag how big you want it and let go when you're done. And you can again change your color. Draw another one right through it. Again, you can make it transparent. Maybe you want the word tasty to show up here, but it's still kind of like a rectangle. So I just made it really thick and I made it kind of transparent. Ellipse or circles, same kind of thing. We'll make it a little thinner here. So you can make ellipses. It actually gives you your little axes when you're drawing them. And you can draw more like circles. And again, you can change your color palette and draw more circles. And you can change your transparency. I'll go solid, solid, solid. So now we're right back to a nice solid red. Triangles. Triangles are actually kind of interesting. They actually will give you the angle measurements of the interior angles for your geometry teacher. I'm not sure if you can do anything other than really more like, looks like isosceles triangles, possibly an equilateral. But let's see, maybe we can select it. Again, first time people. I want to select there we go, and grab, there we go. So we can kind of grab corners here if you're on a select tool. And there we go, now we got more like a scalene triangle. And it gives you all the angle measurements too, so you can actually draw triangles in here for your geometry teacher. But again, I clicked on select, so I can do the same thing, I believe, with the circles. Yeah, so I can grab like a corner of the circle and make it more oval, or I can grab the corner like a rectangle and change its size. So after it's drawn, if you want to make any changes to it, click on the select tool. Shapes, anything else? So we can also do lines or segments. And it actually gives you the measurements of that these things are coming in at, which is kind of interesting. So it almost gives you like slope if you know your math. And again, you can totally change your colors on it as well. Eraser is exactly what you expect it to be. We can erase all annotations, which would be like everything I would have would be gone, or drawing shapes and stuff. So I'm not going to do any of that, but I'm just going to go ahead and highlight, and I'm just going to run over stuff that I want to erase. So I don't want that line, I don't want that line, I don't want that line, I don't want my rectangle. So if you just click on it and run over it, I don't think you can just click on it. You got to run it over, and it'll disappear. Okay, run over the O, run over the L's, and it'll disappear. Okay, so that's your eraser. And again, you can do all annotations, which I don't want to do right now and lose everything, or just take away all the drawings and shapes. Again, I assume that would just erase everything that I just drew on there. Well, let's see here. Let's see about that. Not many drawings. Here we go. Yeah, that's still erasing a lot of stuff. I'm going to undo. Whenever you make a mistake, you can always undo it. Command Z, there's a little undo button up here. Undo, 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 undo. And every time it says saved. So everything you do is being saved every single time. So that's nice as well. All right, so we are done with the computer. Then I'll switch over to my iPad and just show you some of the different things on that end. Now let's say we're ready to submit it. Very simple. You just click up here, submit. And it'll just kind of give you the name and where it's going to. I wouldn't probably touch anything down here. And you just hit submit. And it'll take just a moment. It'll say that it was submitted to your teacher, and then your teacher will be able to pick it up on their end and exactly see everything that you did there, colors and all. So it's pretty cool. So let's switch over to the iPad real fast. All right, so I was just trying to figure out how I was actually going to walk you through this on my iPad, and my iPad is recording the stuff on my computer screen, so I don't think this is going to be able to do it on my iPad. So let me just go through some basics with you about what's the positives about the iPad versus the computer you just saw, maybe a couple negatives. Number one, the iPad will actually use the entire full screen for the entire PDF document, so you'll be able to see full screen everything. So that's number one, very good positive thing. Number two, when you're trying to draw with the drawing tool and write your name and do different things, maybe in cursive, you can actually use your finger or an actual iPad pen or some kind of a drawing pen on the on your iPad or any other kind of document that you can write on, even maybe a phone, tablet, that's the word I was thinking of. And that would be nice that you can actually write by hand different things. And but the downside is when you can also zoom in really easily on there, but when you start trying to like highlight with your finger different things you want to highlight or mark out or cross out or underline, from what I found, whenever I move on the screen with my finger and sliding it across the screen like I would normally do, it moves the screen around because that's normally what iPads do. So if you want to underline or outline or cross out any of the markup stuff on an iPad, just double click on the word. Double click on the word and it will underline it automatically. Double click on the word and we'll do a line through it or a highlighter pen or something. So double clicking seemed to work for me. Beyond that, as I said, this is my second time even fiddling with this. I'm not sure of any other way with the iPad at this point to do those things where you actually have to slide your finger across the screen to outline something. All right, so if I come up with any other way with the iPad to show you, I will. Other than that, hopefully this will help you get through Kami for the first time. It's a neat little way of doing annotated notes and very simple to upload to your teacher. Again, though, if you're going to do any kind of formatting, if you're going to add to the formatting that you've already submitted, you're always going to have to click this unsubmit button that you see showing up here before it allows you to do any more formatting. So it will take it out of the gradebook and then you can just submit it right back in. All right, hope it helps. Enjoy Kami.